Now, one of golf's greats, Ernie Els, has had something of a nightmare at the Masters. On the very first hole, it's a par 4. He took a 9 with 6 missed short putts. Els is a 4 times major winner, but this one was one of the most embarrassing moments and the worst opening hole in the 80-year history of the Masters. Bit of a disaster for him there. Now, they call it the Yips when your game just falls apart for no apparent reason. And it's not confined to golfers. So in 2001, Leicestershire bowler Scott Boswell was playing in the C&G Trophy final at Lord's against Somerset. 6 of his first 8 balls were wides, including 5 in a row. 2 that were straights were hit for 4. The incident wrecked Boswell's career. So what causes the so-called Yips problems? Joining us now from North London is a sports psychologist, Sylvester. Good to talk to you, Steve. So for those of us who aren't familiar with golf and cricket and indeed sports like baseball, what exactly is a Yips?
Well, it's an involuntary movement, so it's an inability to control a fine skill. So you're about to do something important and you tremble or get the shakes.
I guess, getting a bogey of 9 or 10 for the weekend golfer is something that will be deemed as quite acceptable, but not for somebody who's won the Masters on 4 occasions. So I guess there is probably some basis to it.
Yeah, I mean, first things to say is that Ernie's human, he's a great player, he's a 4-time major winner, and this can affect anyone. It's the interplay between how you think and your physical skills. And somehow, when it's really well grooved and well rehearsed, our minds can take us to a place where it becomes increasingly important to do something well, and all of a sudden there's this bolt out of the blue and we suffer this catastrophic episode of stress, and for some reason Ernie was unable to pull his club head back.
So in terms of a sportsman who is suffering from the Yips, I mean, what's the best way of getting back on track? Is it a case of going back to the drawing board and starting again, looking at your technique, reviewing how you've been playing?
I think it's all those and more, because this happens when something becomes very important to you. So whether you're a golfer, a cricketer, a snooker player, if you're doing a fine skill, that you do need to take out time to look at that fine skill, particularly if you experience stress. So I encourage in my clinic golfers, snooker players and cricketers, I'm here today at Lord's, to look at what you do under pressure and just stop and pause and become more aware of what's going on. And that's an emotional, deep level of coaching to try and find out and establish what's the source. Now, Ernie's used a belly putter for a lot of his career, but obviously with the change rule, with the changing of the rule, that it's meant that now he's using a normal putter. That's created probably even more anxiety because he can't anchor his putter.
I guess for a lot of sports personalities, I mean, the real challenge that they have is that this becomes a cycle for them. They see their performance going down. They've suffered from this condition called the Yips, and it just really sort of starts unraveling and it goes beyond their control. How difficult will it be for them to get themselves back on track, to get them performing in the way that they used to perform?
Yeah, there's always hope. It is a difficult thing to overcome because it seems to come out of the blue when least expected. So I think what's required is some time taken, and I encourage and invite Ernie to get some support to talk it through, to actually really find out the cause and effect that underpins this condition. He took no time to have a look at what was happening across the 6 putts. His caddy didn't come in, there was no change-up or no self-correction as he kept missing. He just kept missing and he just kept going with that. And what's required there is a bit more self-management so that he could take some time, pause, maybe speak with his caddy or do something different to say, what am I going to do now that I'm not anchoring a belly putter? How do I go about making that effective putt when I'm just using a normal putter? And that's what's required, and I hope he takes that time because it's a deep level of emotional state that needs to be unearthed and looked at in order to try and regroove and retrain and come up with a different solution to that problem when the anxiety starts to grow.
And Steve, in your career as a sports psychologist, I mean, have you personally come across players, sports personalities who have been suffering from this particular condition, and in what sports?
I have in golf. I've come across cricketers. I've played against cricketers who have had the yips and unable to bowl the ball on the strip. In snooker, you see snooker players unable to release the cue when they're feathering. I see it all the time, and it's only happens when something means the world to you, and when it means the world, something catastrophic can happen as well, because our anxiety grows if it's what I call a win-lose situation. The only thing that's important is that I win in this situation, and as a result of that, we process very quickly losing. And when we do that, our fear grows, and as a result of that, we interrupt what is a grooved skill, what is a comfortable skill for a great golfer like Ernie. So we need to take some time to look and stop and just say, well, actually, what can we do differently here under this intense pressure? What can we do if you had no hope of getting the ball in the hole in golf, or bowling the ball on the strip? What could you do when it's wrong? So sometimes you need to look at the opposite in order to relax and feel the natural grooved skill to come out and be released.
Okay, still, Steve Sylvester, it does make a lot of sense when you explain it in that way. Many thanks for joining us this lunchtime on Sky News.
Thank you.